We was
Playing
think
with a knife.
think of games when we were like younger, when we were the generation of like the time. Like Jesus, games were so different back then.
For me, that would have been. For me, that would have been stuff like Kingdom Hearts, the Worm series,
It's
all
like
of the stuff back on
like
PS2.
specifically like the first Kingdom Hearts.
No, a lot of my childhood was actually spent on 2 more than 1.
Wasn't 2 like the fan
Because for the
favorite?
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard that.
2 was the favorite of quite a lot of people.
Mm, I remember that a lot. But yeah, back then we used to have such simple games. This was before multiplayer was the main mechanic,
Yeah.
the main set of video games. Like, oh my god, when was it the last time I saw like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater trending? Like, it's been so long.
It's actually not that long ago, actually.
That's
In
because
fact,
the remake.
there was a fight.
The
Yeah, there was a
remake
fight
came out.
between 2 streams about who did the most score
But before
in
remake,
a single trip. Yeah,
there was
before that.
nothing, because oh Jesus, all we got was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 or 4. Yeah, it's 5.
I don't remember.
It's there is a 5. Yeah, you don't remember it because it was shit. The the game lacked so much character. It had no it has no memorable soundtracks or anything. It had game modes that made no
You
sense.
have to have a memorable soundtrack.
Like, we're going back to Tony Hawk's Underground and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 and 2 and 1 on the PS1 or something. Like even Green Day was in some of their albums. And we all remember Green Day. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, one thing that can be that American Idiot, they put like Fall Out Boy in one of them or something. Panic at the Disco was in some games. Specifically NBA for some reason. Weird. Yeah. Like,
Panic on the Call.
back then, rock music was very popular. The only time I hear rock music is either from Doom games or like a section of GTA when you look at a radio section. It's just straight metal, you know. Oh yeah, you don't really see much of like single player games from like big titles or something. When was the last time you see like a Scooby-Doo PlayStation game or any sort? Like, or
Back when they didn't have an extra number on the end of the console.
as high as the number guy, it was like PS2. It was just PlayStation 2. Like, oh god. Like,
Bad movie tie-ins ended years ago.
when I think of my most favourite games, and I think everyone can agree, we go back to when we were kids. Like, straight up kids. Like, when we think of our most favourite game, we rarely look at the current time.
Yeah.
Because your favourite game isn't by how much you enjoyed it once, it's when you played it constantly. Like, Jesus.
I think about the most recent game that I could ever qualify as one of my most recent like favourites would be Battlefield 3, which I played like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's as close as we can get with like favourites, like Black Ops like 1 and 2 and like Jesus Christ.
Actual favourites go back 15 years.
15 years where games were more simple. We're at a point where they're just remaking the classics now. That's how you can get favourite games. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, when was it the last time they remade your favourite game?
I don't think they ever have. None of my favourites have ever been remade.
Does Tetris count? It's got an online remake.
Tetris is my favourite.
Do you think they'll remake Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2?
They technically did.
Well, they remastered it.
With the 1.5, yeah, 1.5 and 2.5 HD remixes that were on the PS3.
Just call it remake. Like, you don't need to put the 1 point. Oh yeah, don't remind me about the numbers and stuff.
The reason I don't count it as remasters was because the original intent was to port over what the Japanese had that we didn't, because the consoles had less memory space.
Jesus, the Japanese have completely different games to what we had. Like, for real.
It wasn't completely different. There was just a lot of additional features that we missed out on.
Yeah, but when it comes to like games in Japan, their games are more like they have there's so much in their games. That a good example of a Japanese game would be like Monster Hunter. You know, like where it comes to one game that has so many like mechanics and possibilities that you have to figure out for like a year. Because every time you learn something new, there's always something else to learn afterwards. You can't understand everything in that game. When it comes to like you know, like 1v1 games where they come to like combos and stuff, in Japan, they make a lot of games. Yeah, think of it as like Street Fighter or something.
They'd have Tekken, and Tekken's huge.
It's huge. If only.
Oh, that was a bad play. Why did I run into one of the elites? That was retarded.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, Tekken has gone for like decades.
Oh man.
Very often.
The community is bigger than it was. Like, holy shit.
And it will continue to grow because it has a competitive scene.
It's competitive when it comes like when it comes to like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, those type of communities.
Yeah, there will also be those competitive.
When it comes to deciding which one's the best, they are all better in their own different ways, and that's what makes them the perfect rivals. You know, they're not the same. Like, the fighting style is different, the mechanics are different. You can rarely find two games that are the same.
Yeah.
Because Tekken is more about like, I would say it's more about like flow when it comes to fighting, because there's a lot of like physics based when it comes to it, because you can air juggle and you can like the fighting in that game. It has a lot of control schemes where you want to do control.
A lot of depth to Tekken fighting.
It is. When it comes to Street Fighter, yeah, there's too much buttons.
Street Fighter's pick up and play.
Street Fighter is pick up play. It is more strategy than it is with like fighting. You have to rely more on blocking as well as space when it comes to Street Fighter. Because all the characters have their own different varieties. Ones are like ranged, one's the close up. Like, yeah, it's more about learning characters' moves in like different ways.
Yeah.
When it comes to Mortal Kombat, it's more about like combo combinations. Specifically like Mortal Kombat 11 now, where they add abilities where you could combine one move with another to make it longer and more effective. But the problem with Mortal Kombat now is... Yeah?
That reminds me, originally in Street Fighter, it was originally designed so you just play single moves and that's it.
Yeah.
But then someone just... Oh shit, you could do combos, and then it's just been a staple for every fighting game since.
The problem with that is it suffers from using the same thing every game. Sometimes the game can look better, but sometimes it just looks terrible at the end because they focus more on like what the character does than what they look at the end. Because, oh my god, If you want a good example of when games are overly made when it comes to fighting than it is by visually, look at Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, where the goddamn characters looks like absolute garbage. Like, oh my god. The only the only good character the only character that looks good in that game is probably just Venom. That is it. Spider-Man's fine. Characters that don't have a face looks fine. Like, Jesus. Exactly. That can look better than what Dante or Chun-Li looks. You know? Like, Jesus God, like Jesus Christ. But the game works so good. The combos in it, the fighting in it is absolutely amazing, but the game sucks because it looks like absolute ass. It looks like it's made from like the early stages of Xbox 360 to PS3. And the game before that looks better because they made it comic book based. Anyway, what about games that made us like gaming? You know, games that made us want to game.
The games that brought us in.
Yeah, that brought us in, that made us want to play more. While I sip Pepsi.
I mean, I want to be a bit more specific here. Like, what game brought you into a specific genre?
Yeah.
And by that I mean like action, adventure, RPG, stuff like that.
So what is your favourite gaming genre then?
I play like 3 different genres at the minute, I think.
Right. Yeah, you play your first person shooter is one of them.
4, no, yeah, 4 FPS, rhythm,
Yeah.
party, and sports, because technically Rocket League is classified as a sports game.
Never thought of RPG?
I don't really play RPGs that much anymore. I used to play
RPGs
like
were more
Mars.
simpler back then, so we can't really complain. You know, like how old is Skyrim? There hasn't been a game like Skyrim ever since. It's played more than Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 put together.
76 was...
Oh. I actually watched
Fallout 76 just didn't cut it.
I'm not joking. I watched a podcast, right, and someone said that Fallout 76 is not as bad as we thought it was. You know, it's overlooked. I look at it and I say the problem of the game isn't how it looks or how we see it. It's how you play it. You know, before it was broken. Because how you play the game made no sense whatsoever. Remember, you know what Fallout is? It's like technically a first-person, third-person survival RPG.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd probably lean towards more FPS RPG.
What part of survival RPG Fallout game throws off skill cards? You know? Like, stuff that would be in like a Final Fantasy game or something. Like, or pay to win.
If you don't have a good skill tree, your game is shit.
It's not a skill tree though. It's skill cards. They're just cards that you purchase, I guess. That's the thing though. And how does that game show any actual decency when it comes to pay to win, you know? Because you have to pay for the currency the game gets. You know, it's the same thing that Call of Duty has suffered for how long when it comes to COD points. Because you can't keep playing for COD points because that stuff takes so long. You know, like you can barely get challenges.
I specifically hate where you can't just gain the currency through normal means. You have to pay to get a chance to get the currency. So basically, almost any fucking Epic Games game. We're
gonna lay this out right now. We're not going to talk about Fortnite because that is a rant that will take more than an hour. That will probably get us in trouble.
I have my own. I have my own personal problems with.
This shows how much boomers we are. We despise in-game currency at this point. In-game currency that you can't achieve while playing the game.
Yeah, that you can't get normally.
We agree that whatever you pay for is what you should get. If I pay for this full game, I expect to get everything that it provides. You know?
Yeah. No hiding Vader through an £80 fucking paywall. Fuck that. Shit and done.
A lot of games have suffered that. You know, a lot of games has suffered years of that. It's like how gaming suffered pay to use online privileges. That started.
We're doing that now.
That started Microsoft doing Xbox Gold. That was on Xbox 360. Yeah, it's the PS4 is when it started. Before PS4 was the PS3, and I did a lot of research. I did the research, and have you ever seen the difference between PS3 servers and Xbox 360 servers when Xbox Live came out?
Xbox 360 was filled with 12-year-olds that only got Xbox.
that is not that is not the only problem. That is not the only problem, but you are so true. It is not the only problem. Okay, ever since Xbox Gold came out, where you pay for the online, apparently the services of the online got worse. Where a game of 4 to 5, a server could literally lag, not by the person, but because of the server itself. And then we're shown of a PlayStation 3 game that holds like 60-something players. It's just fine. It's just fine. And
Battlefield 3 was actually a really good example of that. It held 32, and the servers were fucking smooth.
It was very smooth.
I could play on Asian servers.
We could play on Asian servers, and we could tell the difference between, because we played like Xbox and PlayStation.
I didn't specifically. Maybe you, Bailey, definitely did.
Yeah, but I had an Xbox like a year after I got a PS3 because I wanted to play Crackdown and Gears of War. What would I say about the games now that are out this generation? Yeah, I'm not even gonna look at them for how especially Crackdown 3. We're not even gonna talk about that one. He's talking about the game that he's talking.
Specifically for Crackdown, I got infatuated with the health bar.
Which one?
I forget which Crackdown it is, but it had a first meter in the center and then a second meter that went around it. That regenerated.
Yeah, one shield and one's health.
Yeah, one shield, it was a bit like Halo.
Yeah, it was very much like Halo, yeah. Yeah, Crackdown 3, also known as the game that looks like it should be on an iPad, for how bad it looked. I'm not saying the console shit. I'm just saying Microsoft should really look at what the games that they're making, because I swear to God, they got Bethesda now, and if they don't make anything good after that, then Microsoft, just fix yourself. Oh God. Yeah, back to
Bedrock Edition to be the main edition.
Yeah.
We all know John.
So, what was the game? What was the game that brought you into your specific genres then?
Right, let me think. Basically, just go through my timeline of games. I think first I was into Worms, and I'm not exactly sure what genre the Worms series falls under.
It's technically a battle royale.
I'd put them under party game.
It is a party game because it wasn't online in the beginning. It was more about 4 friends in one room play Worms.
Yeah, that's what I define as a party game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was basically, I think it was Worms 3D that got me hooked as hell on that specific, like the Worms series. And then I played stuff like Fort Mayhem, Worms Blast, Forts Under Siege. I played quite a few old Worms games.
Quite a few.
And then, yeah, after that, I think my next thing was the sort of JRPG stuff like Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
I think 1 introduced me to it, but
Mm-hmm.
2 was hook, line, and was the
Oh, so it's like, 1 brought me in, but 2 made me stay.
2, yeah. I came for 1, but I stayed as hell.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was I think action adventure, which was mostly Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2.
13. Which one was that one?
It wasn't that good. That was the one with Lightning, Snow, Sarge, Hope, that cast.
Oh yeah, didn't. Yeah,
Lassie, stuff like that.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 13 was yeah, it wasn't turn-based, was it? It was the other one.
It was Attack Time. I think I call it Attack Time.
Attack timing. Because yeah, you don't stop in battle. You just keep pressing what you want to do. That's how it works. Yeah, that Final Fantasy I think is very underrated when it comes to like
I think, yeah, I'd almost want to say 13 is a bit slightly underrated.
It's because people forget it too easily.
I would not say the same for 13. Yeah, I would not say the same for 13 too.
13 Part 2. 13 Part 2, I think it fell flat because it wasn't really necessary, was it? It was just some way to. It's because they wanted to make a happy ending for Lightning Sister. That is the case, you know, because at the end of the first one, her sister dies. Spoiler. Who the fuck's gonna care? How old the game now? I'm like.
Ages. It's.
I'm gonna admit that was my first Final Fantasy game I played as well, because I liked how it looked. I liked how the character looked. I liked the intro of the game as well.
The characters were kind of nice.
If you look at these characters, if you look at the characters in this game and look at the rest of Final Fantasy, they stood out more in like very large amount of ways. Not by character, not by like personality, though. Oh, Final Fantasy 7.
By design.
Yeah. I never actually played the original Final Fantasy 7, to be honest.
My dad played the original Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, my stepdad did as well.
It's probably how I was introduced to that whole series.
I played the remake though, so yeah. I say what made 7 memorable, I think, is like both characters and story, because the story is very like heavily political as well when you look over it, and
yeah, the tones of it, yeah.
Yeah.
You had me out for a minute because I wasn't actually 100% sure, but then I took like an extra second and it was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
fuck the earth. Yeah, and like the rebellion against the people that made everything, that are using like the Earth's energy for electricity. Yeah, and they called them a terrorist group, and yeah, it's one of those type of games, you know. But yeah, I think it wasn't that bad.
It was a good game. It's a classic. I think next in my little timeline after that was the start of the current sort of stuff that I'm doing, and that would be the FPS. I mean, it was Black Ops 1.
Black Ops 1. The numbers, Mason.
Yeah, it was Black Ops. It was Black Ops 1. I don't really play the campaigns ever.
I mean, the campaigns now aren't really that special, you know, it doesn't matter. I think the first Call of Duty I ever played was Call of Duty 3, that was set in the World War, I guess.
Yeah, that's a real old one.
That is really old. It's memorable because the controls were very, You know when a game wasn't set to be realistic, it was just you could fly, like literally. you just speed run through the entire thing. It's like when you play 007 GoldenEye, you just run through that stuff. Have you really played like any other sort of games like horror or specifically anything?
I've not really deviated from my current favourites, not by much at least.
It's like most of those, like yeah.
The most major deviations I've actually ever done would probably be Among Us, because that's Mafia, isn't it?
Mafia.
I'd probably define that. Yeah, I'd probably pin it under Mafia, call that its own genre, since that's getting big now.
I guess it would count more of like a survival party game. Because it has an old school look to it, you know. It's a game that you play with friends, you know. Because that's the juicy part of Among Us. When you play it with friends, it gets so personal. Like, oh my god, Bailey gets so personal. Like, oh my god.
If you get a group of 10, and I wish I could get a group of 10. Too bad, my friend circles are not well intertwined and kind of small. But if I could get a group of 10, it would just make Among Us just so much better.
I could make it up to 10, but I don't think I would want to. Because one of them would be my girlfriend or something, because she plays Among Us. If I'm imposter, what the fuck am I going to do?
Murder everyone else and try and steal the
Then they would know it's me! Well, Nicole's still alive.
But then you can't, I think.
Hope she doesn't mind me saying her name in this. Sure she's fine with it. She actually watches the videos at some point. So, yeah. What's so funny about that?
Eventually.
Eventually. I got my yeah, I have to get my defensive equipment out. Yeah, I'm getting ready. Yeah. Let's see. What kind of games do I play? FPS, I remember, of course. What was my very first FPS game that I played? Because Jesus Christ, it's been.
Oh my god.
God, what are you doing?
Why? The brute does so much the big guys in this game. They just do so much damage.
If you guys don't.
Charged into. I have a jug. I almost died anyway.
He's currently talking about Cold War, and it sounds like he's fine. Big Chungus.
Yeah, cold.
And
it's the Megaton.
Megaton. He's mega cheeks. Now, to admit what really got me into first-person shooters, it was actually during my time where I was going through like Xbox games, you know, because when I started getting into new consoles, I started playing games that I've never played before, nor did I have any interest in. But there was one game that stood out from all these like releases, and what was it, like 2007? It was like where the new consoles were coming out. Because
That's old.
it is old. It was the first game that I played on my stepdad's Xbox, and it was BioShock. And Jesus Christ, I've never played a game like that before. Like, the game is a first-person shooter, but it feels like it has a horror aspect as well as some sort of a very Call of Duty aspect when it comes to like the weapons, you know.
Which game is this? Which game is this again?
BioShock. You know, the Big Daddy
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Do you remember? You remember what that game looks like? You have never
Yeah.
seen anything like that before. I'm like, oh, the intro. You crash in, an airplane. You crash in an airplane into the ocean. Gave away a spoiler there. Oh man.
Well, I mean, if it's at the start, then it doesn't really matter.
No, you should. No, it's when I said he crashed the plane into the ocean. That's giving away the end. Because
Oh.
yeah. But it's
Shows
this
me how much
game's
I know.
this game is more than 10 years old. Who cares? This game, like, you start off, you crash into the ocean, like in an airplane. You get into a lighthouse. You get into this thing, and you just go like underwater. You're like, where the fuck am I going? And then when you look at it, when the thing opens up, it's an underground city called Rapture. I'm like, what? This game is based off of a city that was forgotten years ago. Like, how often do you see games that start off like that? They just throw you into the world. No storytelling or anything.
No exposition, no
No.
storytelling.
Ex-
It's
ex-
fucking deep end, kid. Figure it out for yourself.
Exactly.
I'm sure you've got brain thickness.
Especially the deep end, like we are like at the bottom of the ocean. And what I love about these games is that the story doesn't tell you, like the game doesn't tell you the story. You figure it out on your own. You know, you search the area, you pick up these different these not notes. You pick up these different like voice lines, these different clues. You figure out the story yourself, and then you realise it is much more than that. You know, like this was a conspiracy that people were living underwater that had like technology that we haven't even discovered today. You know, it gave people superpowers. And it is the first game that had a plot twist that actually like shocked me. You know, like, should I say the plot twist? Does it matter? Like,
How old is it?
it's like since 2007.
Don't even mention it. It's probably too old. Nobody cares. Let's go.
Okay. When it comes to full-class horror, I think of like, you know, like the very first Slender Man or Outlast or the classics, where it wasn't just constant like Amnesia, The Dark Descent, just all those classic YouTube ones, and RPGs like again Final Fantasy 13.
The best horror is when horror is like the side thing.
Exactly. It's not overly done, you know. Like there's not too much, not too less. It's just perfectly right. Side-scrolling games, like think of it as back then, like the Nintendo consoles and the Sega consoles and the Ataris. Ever since then, I just play Sonic. Like, I can say that I've played almost every classic Sonic game that were like big console titles, you know? Like Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic Knuckles. Big for its time, you know? And they still...
Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles are originally one game that got separated.
It did, actually. It did. But that's because, you didn't know this, but Sonic and Knuckles... Did you know that you could use the cartridge of a game that has Knuckles in it, and if you put it into another Sonic game, it puts Knuckles in that game? It's like cross-play, but with characters.
There's another thing with Sonic, and I think it's Sonic CD.
Yeah, Sonic CD.
If you tilt cartridge or whatever it was at the time, or
Hmm.
something to do with that, it would just give you access to the debug menu, because the developers thought, well, that's going to crash, so why don't we just reroute the crash to the debug menu?
Yeah, exactly. Sonic CD had an anime intro, if you remember that, and it was the game that had, yeah, so it was the game that was that made the song Sonic Boom by that one woman that I can't remember.
It also had that one Easter egg that terrified the hearts of children all across the world.
We're not going to get into that. Oh boy,
Yeah,
younger me was not was not that great with that shit.
Even
'Cause
14-year-old me was kind of like, oh shit.
it's like serious. It's like seriously, Sonic has been my childhood since forever. And like what? Who got me into Sonic? Was it the trend? Was it was it how he looked? No, it was actually my mum that got me into Sonic. And she had a Sega Saturn, I think, when she was younger. She played all those games. Her favorite game, like side-scrolling game, is probably Sonic and Knuckles or Centipede from the Atari. Because
Do not.
you don't remember?
I've never owned 600, so I've never played Centipede.
Oh, really? I got myself an Atari that has all classic Atari games in it, including Centipede. And man, games back then, all you need is like one screen, one level, and just constantly like infinite rounds. You know, like like is it Space Invaders? That's a good example. It's just it's just the same thing over and over, but it gets faster and it gets harder. Like
it's the challenge.
it is the challenge. That's what brings people towards zombies. You know, it's a challenge. How many rounds could you get? How far the game could you find?
I think originally I tested it out in Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
Because I was interested. Oh shit! They added a zombies mode. I wonder what this is. And it was round based, and it had everything I kind of
like.
did.
It doesn't need an ending. It's just infinite rounds. You know.
It's
like
survival.
It's just a survival, literally. Like
World at War, it was actually just an Easter egg at the end, and it was just about survival. But then they realised, oh shit, this shit's popular. Bring it back for Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4. It's shit in Black Ops 4. Don't worry about it. And Cold War.
To continue, side-scrolling was Sonic. First-person shooter was probably BioShock to Call of Duty. Call of Duty now. Battlefield was fine. Battlefield 3, absolutely loved the campaign of Battlefield 3. Had a very good intro, you know. It was such a suspenseful one. Like you just jump onto a train while you're handcuffed or something. I'm like, yeah, this is how you start off.
Hooked you in hard.
You just see a crane hit the building while you're being interrogated. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? You don't even know who these people are, and you're already running away from them. Like, I wish Call of Duty had something like starting missions like that. But Call of Duty 1, I guess. Black Ops 1, I guess, because it had the interrogation scenes with Mason. That was pretty interesting. But no, what else was there?
Black Ops 1 is considered one of the better ones.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat got me into like 1v1 fighting games because why not? It's Mortal Kombat, you know. They had their special guest appearance like Freddy Krueger, Jason, and all that.
Joker. Yeah,
Joker, mate. I should make a Joker video, but I just edit it and I just do like Joker shit. Because I try hard as Joker so much.
Some Joker moments right now.
I guess Skyrim got me into like open world RPGs, I guess. You know. Batman kinda got me into superhero games, but Spider-Man as an open world superhero game is one of the most like iconic like superhero games of all time, ever since Spider-Man 2, you know, because they are cult classics. When it comes to like open world games where you just have superpowers, you know, where you could just do whatever the fuck you want while doing storylines, I would say it's Infamous, you know, like a game that just throws you into an open world with like these powers, you decide what to do with it. Just live with the consequences, you know. And literally, also I remember being into like Need for Speed back in the PS2 era, Need for Speed Underground for the win.
Oh yeah, that was like, yes, exactly. That was the one racing game that I've ever fucking
Why
played.
couldn't they remake it instead of Hot Pursuit?
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck? Like,
exactly. That's the
oh
only
my god.
game. The only game.
I was so
I don't
excited.
even know why I was specifically hooked onto that one. It was just
Like,
that one.
car customization. One thing, the map was was a giant city full of cars that were customized as well. Your cars could have has nitros. You could customize it however you want. You could literally upgrade it by doing all these different missions. The soundtrack as well. The soundtrack. They had Gangsta's Paradise in it. Like, oh my god. I remember listening to Gangsta's Paradise while doing drifting missions. Like, oh. Also, the main theme was Riders of the Storm that had a Snoop Dogg remix to it. I'm like, oh wow.
You don't get much better.
You can't get much better. Need for Speed Heat is the closest we've got. A game that just came out recently is the closest we got to a game that came out in PS2. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because after Underground, they specifically...
Games in 2010s have been an absolute dystopia.
When it comes to racing games, okay? Specifically racing games. The only racing games that were iconic at that time was either Mario Kart or Sonic All-Stars Racing. Because there were nothing else. Like, not even Gran Turismo was that memorable, you know? Because it was based off of realism. Oh man, like, my mum absolutely loved Need for Speed Underground 2. Because it is a racing game that had so much personality and felt so alive. It had neon lights everywhere. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, remember when you start choosing your cars and you just see them drive out?
Imagine your parents having a divorce because she felt more alive playing a game during sex.
When your parents have a divorce because of one word, oh yeah, where's my Ford? Luckily, my parents were never married, so big up for that one.
You are like me.
I got.
Oh, bastard.
I was so excited when they announced they were remaking a Need for Speed game. I'm like, it is so obvious what they need to remake, but no, they go for the game where you can be a cop. Okay, you can be a cop. This
You know
game.
what that reminds me of?
What?
Battlefield 1. Shooter. 2. Bad Company. Great shooter. 3. Great. Battlefield 4. The kinks at the start were kinda funky.
Battlefield 4.
Hardline cops and robbers.
Do you want me to bring that whenever we go to someone's house? Because I still have it.
Hardline.
Yeah, I got Hardline. Do you know that? I still got Battlefield Hardline on the PS4.
Yeah, I'll try on this.
When I played it and I got into the multiplayer, I thought, oh, it's going to be like all that. No, you can have grappling hooks that go between skyscrapers. I'm like, whoa. And you can drive all the cars in it. Like the police cars or the vans, or you can run around with If anyone don't know, we grew up watching Vanos gaming. You know? We grew up watching that shit. They introduced us to the games that we played anyway. Because I did not have any interest in Hardline until I watched Vanos play it. Like, Jesus Christ. Battlefield 1, I never played but looked so good.
I think the only time I ever had an interest in stuff like Gmod and all of the things that were surrounding Gmod were
Yeah.
Vanos.
It has to be because it's just the chemistry between the group, you know? Like, games are fun when it comes to when people can play it with friends, you know? Like, matchmaking. Yeah, fix your matchmaking, please, because when I want to play with my friends, I want to play in a game where we can all enjoy. You know? I don't want to play with my friends in a matchmaking where we're level 20 and the other ones are like Prestige R102. or something. Because when I get Black Ops, when I get Black Ops Cold War, we're gonna do multiplayer, and the matchmaking better be better than the previous games. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Need for Speed. Please remake an actual good game because it's a game that I could see myself introducing to my girlfriend. You know, I want her to enjoy this with me. Wouldn't it be nice? That is a high bar. Yeah, I'll be like, Nicole, I know you're not really much of a gamer, but please play this with me. Please bring back split screen. You know, like Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Split screen Call of Duty, like playing that with a sibling or something, or with a friend that comes over, or with your dad or something. I don't care. If it's with your mum, then Jesus Christ.
The one time I've ever played on an Xbox console was when I was invited over to Rohan's, and he'd have I think it was a 360 at the time.
And it all changed when we started going to his.
Yeah, and then it's from then on it was stuff like Rocket League or.
It went from Rocket League. We played Dragon Ball Fighter Z. We played some Call of Duty split screen gun game.
We had between friends tournaments.
We had between friends tournaments until his brother smashed the TV. You see, if we're
10-1, 10-0.
You know what? Whenever Rahan's back in this, which will be very rare, we're gonna make sure we talk about the entire story, because I wasn't there. I was glad I wasn't there, because I had to go to my nan's house. But if I was there, I would have actually slapped the shit out of him, because I hate it when people take shit too far.
Yeah.
Because over something so stupid. Oh, you lost a game or something. Yeah, get over it. Get good, I guess. Yeah. It's just that.
Parents aren't letting you play this thing. We don't got punch in the TV. Now guess what? You won't be playing
with his fist, he went ka-chow. That is a mood. Yeah. Okay. I think we might as well just move on from the childhood game into the Call of Duty maps. You know, because we grew up with different maps, didn't we? Like. You started playing Call of Duty at Black Ops, Zombies at Black Ops 2, didn't you?
I started really playing Zombies at Black Ops 2, and then I went back to play Black Ops 1, I followed through to Black Ops 3, I've never played 4.
Never played 4.
I've been playing we've done World War 2, and I'm currently playing
Cold War. Cold War, not sounding so bad, so better than Black Ops 3 or 4, I guess.
Definitely better than 4.
Yeah. Is it better? Are you trying to decide between Black Ops 3 now?
I'm trying to think if I'm excluding the remastered maps, specifically the remastered maps.
Yeah, remaster maps made it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to say the Machina
is better than the Black Ops 3.
I can't put it above how fucking great
the remake maps are. Shadows of Evil is good because the setting feels something new.
The story, the music,
the characters stood out, like literally, and the game looked beautiful. You know, not too much of anything. The game just looked shiny. It looked alive. It looked what we wanted in like the next gen zombies, you know.
The only two things where it suffers for me.
Is it like
No, the one thing specific to Shadows of Evil would be just how hard the pack-a-punch process is.
Yeah, that's the thing. The older that Call of Duty got, the harder it got to pack-a-punch weapons at this point, because
until
World War 2, because World War 2 was very easy.
World War 2 on the Third Reich pretty simple.
Yeah, we haven't played the other maps, so we can't really say the rest of them.
Yeah.
I can say that World War Two was pretty decent when it comes to zombies, because it felt like it went back to like what zombies originated from. You know, like the style of it, because it brought back a horror segment. Because when it comes to Black Ops 3, there was nothing scary about it. It was all colourful and it was all lit up, you know. But when it came to World War Two, things felt more neutral coloured, and it
Rounded,
the design of the zombies was so detailed, like.
Yeah.
So yes, looking at it in a different direction. Our personal lives has been better than they were a few years ago. Like, Jesus Christ, we were terrible people back then because we were... I wouldn't say we were boring, but I would say that we were just tired constantly because of school days. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, we used to know a lot of people, but we grown apart from them people, but... Jesus Christ, it could have been better, you know.
Split off.
We could have opened our circle a little bit, but yeah, it was quite good actually. Like we made a good amount of friends, we made a good amount of enemies. Like we lived a good life, you know. Like Jesus Christ.
This isn't on my will, Jesus. Yeah.
This is not.
On my will, is it?
Jesus Christ. Well, like the only thing that really comes to like us and to Bailey is whenever we talk about relationships, because Jesus Christ, Bailey becomes a different type of person when we talk about that.
Yep.
Yep. But we can't blame him though. Not everyone can be
Not everyone finds it.
not everyone can find it. And we can say that because before we had our relationships, our lives were completely different. I don't know about you, Luke, because you make your relationships sound like you're waiting for a toaster to be done. It's just slowly on the burning stage. That is a mood there. It's a good thing that she doesn't watch our videos, because I don't know what she would feel like. But she doesn't know. I hope she doesn't walk into this, you know. I hope she doesn't just open up YouTube and put hi on the comment section. She goes, what's the possibility of her opening up YouTube, search dumb twats, and then find this video? Like, seriously. Oh, God. But then again,
Non-zero.
it could be worse. Like, you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Very convincing happy, you know?
Voice crack.
Voice crap. Yeah!
It could obviously be better.
Any relationship could be better. We just have a specific situation with ours.
Yeah.
It's just... I'm in the same position as you, kind of, because the only difference between me and you is that I don't really want to stay in England, you know? Like, seriously. There'll be a time...
I just want to be north. I don't want to be in London.
Like, I want to go to America, you know? America. Go there for... We both go there for our relationships, you know? Yeah. What part of America do you have to go to?
I think where mine is on the east coast.
Any specific state?
Last state I remember being mentioned is New Jersey. And
well then, looks like we're going the same way then.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the odds that me and Luke would have to go to the same place, which is New Jersey.
One in... I can do the math right now.
No, Luke, don't do the math. I think whoever's watching this isn't going to give a shit about, like, how often that is. but they would think that's crazy, you know? Yeah. New Jersey.
At a guess without any prior calculation, at least 1 in 1,000.
Look at the bright side, you won't need to go alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all have to have
Yeah,
a
just...
midpoint, and it could, well,
It could work.
to be fair, each state is the size of its own country.
Okay, well... Same airport, I don't know, I don't give a shit. At least we'll be able to communicate better, because Jesus Christ, gonna communicate to England from New Jersey is gonna be like, huh, nope. But yes, I just think in America there's better Wi-Fi, better internet, man.
No, not in America.
Yes, it is.
Not in
Yes, it is. I have actually seen it. I've seen the fucking thing. I'm like, yes. Seeing that Britain, specifically the entirety of the UK, has suffered bad internet, is what makes me laugh a lot.
I'm pretty sure I could go onto the list of like average connection speeds, and the UK is higher than the US.
You know what? It doesn't really feel different because actually thinking about it, wherever you go, the connection isn't really that bad. It just depends on where you're trying to get your connection from. Because Jesus Christ, I just get bored. This country is more broken. Like, I swear to God, at least America has like a leader.
Okay. I'll say this. I am wrong. Top to bottom, from rank 1, South Korea, Norway, Sweden, Hong Kong, Switzerland, Finland, Singapore, Japan, Denmark, US. So you beat me there. Netherlands, Romania, Czech Republic, who I believe still believe in Shrek. Kingdom
Oh shit. Whoever's from there, please don't flag this video.
I am so sorry. Ireland.
Put your Shrek Bible down. They're holding their Shrek 3D DVD.
Ogre ever after.
May the ogre be with you. I'll be back after 3 ogre days. Okay. Okay.
You're dicks.
We are absolute arseholes and I love it. Yeah, you wonder why we couldn't get much friends at school. My God, there's so many school stories we could go through. That's the sad part.
There's some on video.
There is a video on Bailey's channel that explains. Do it. You know what? After this tour, we'll just go into that because, oh my God.